didn't get the window, but I think we're all set. I'll just pop over to YouTube and make sure they're going. But the regular meeting is recording.
So we're set to go?
Yep.
Great. All right. Good evening, everyone. The time is 7:03, and I'd like to call the regular meeting on January 23rd of the Mayor and Town Council to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next on the agenda is roll call. Susan, would you mind taking roll if you're on?
Yes, no problem.
Thank you.
Councilor Budraco? Here. Councilor Gonzalez?
Here.
Councilor Mankey? Councilor Nagel? Councilor Page?
Here.
Councilor Plord? Councilor Tiniakos?
Here.
Mayor Trister?
Here.
Okay, I didn't hear some people.
I see Councilor Mankey, I think.
Yeah. And
Councilor Plord.
yeah.
Oh, I'm
Yep.
sorry, too, Susan. My mistake.
Okay, and Deputy Mayor Rada?
He's here too.
Okay. All right. So Councilor Nagel is not here?
Correct.
Yes,
Okay,
she's
thank
here.
you.
Thank
Pardon
you.
me?
That's correct, Susan. Counselor Nagel is absent.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Moving on to approval of the agenda. Any changes? I don't believe so. A motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Should we clarify who moves and who seconds for Susan?
Councilor Budraco made the motion, Councilor Plord, second.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving right along. Next on the agenda is public participation.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor.
Yes,
It's Susan. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
no problem.
But with Councilor Nagel absent, you're going to have to say motion passed 8-0, Councilor Nagel absent for each time.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for that tip.
Okay, you're welcome.
Gonna write that down so I don't forget it. All right, so now moving along to public participation in the Zoom function. You can do that by raising your hand, or if you're over the phone, you can dial *6 when recognized to speak. State your name and address for the record. There will be a 3-minute timer. I'll be keeping time, so if you I will keep up on that. Let's see here. All right, Mr. Horrigan, would you like to speak?
David Horrigan, 30 Candlewick Drive. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I would like to speak tonight regarding two separate topics. My first topic is on your agenda item 6B to amend the tax fixing agreement for 333 Berlin Turnpike. As I stated at your January 9th meeting, the town is no way responsible for the construction delays included in the developer's request for an amendment to their binding agreement. I trust you all have had an opportunity to review the spreadsheet that I provided to all council members at the January 9th meeting. Despite what you may see in the accounting provided by the developer's package requesting the amendment, they will pay less taxes than what is called for in the current binding agreement, that not only in the next few years, but over the next 13 years. As my spreadsheet illustrates, we are entitled to 100% of the tax on the property value every year until a certificate of occupancy is issued. The developer's spreadsheet, while perhaps not intentionally, is misleading. If you approve this amendment, you will not only cost us, the taxpayers, close to $1 million, but you will open a Pandora's box as other developers who currently have a tax fixing agreement will come knocking for some more of our money. You could hire many police officers and teachers with the money you will forfeit to the developer if you approve that amendment. My next topic is much shorter. At your January 16th meeting, I wondered out loud how much the numerous lawsuits against the town have cost us, the taxpayers. And I wondered if the employees and/or volunteers who are guilty of the abusive and/or illegal activity are still working for us. I see that in the resolution attached to agenda item 10D, you name the abused party. How sad, how very sad, that the abusers' names are protected from the public in executive session, but you publicly name the abused party. I'll ask again, is the person or persons who are costing us all these tax dollars still working and/or volunteering for us? I think the residents of this great town deserve some answers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Horgan. Moving right along. Ms. Lyons.
Hi, Rose Lyons, 46 Elton Drive. First, I'd like to mention, I think you, Mr. Mayor, said that you would hit star star 6 to get into to speak in public participation, star 9, and then you do star 6 to unmute yourself. I want to thank you for also asking that. I think it was Susan that asked that people identify themselves with this audio visual on NCTV. It's like watching Hollywood Squares, and I said that many times. I don't know what's wrong with the equipment we have in that room. I don't know what's going on with NCTV or anything else, but between the website and the audio, it's very hard to keep track of things. Also, I can hear your conversation before you actually start the meeting. I'm glad that Mr. Horgan asked again about his questions. I thought he was asking them at the last meeting, not talking out loud. I would hope that even if you can't answer the questions that he asks or anyone else asks, that you at least acknowledge the fact that they ask the questions and that you can't answer them. My questions are whether or not there's any status update on the town manager's position. I have to acknowledge my own mistake when I spoke about the park and the scoreboard regarding, I thought it was Clem Lemire, and Councilor Rada corrected me, it was Churchill Park. I thank her for that. I'm going to have to get a new set of glasses, or I'm going to have to enlarge the attachments that I get on the agenda. Like I said, I'm hoping that you do that. And I can't see a bar at the bottom of the screen to show me when my 3 minutes is up, so I will quit now while I'm ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Rose. It appears as though Councilor Bedrejko was kicked off the meeting and she's unable to get back in. Scott, is there an issue there? We'll keep it moving for now. I do see another person with their hand up. Mr. Ostrinsky, would you like to speak?
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yes, thank you.
So Greg Ostrinsky, 267 Audubon Avenue. Sorry if I'm whispering, I just got the 1-year-old down, so I'm trying not to wake him up. My wife and I moved to Newington a little over 2 years ago, and among the many things we've quickly come to love about the town, one of our favorites is the town center. We love supporting local by being able to go around the corner for breakfast at the Toasted Oat or Little Cake Cafe, going to happy hour or brunch with friends at Rooster Company, or any number of other businesses that we've been able to visit or are looking forward to visiting. The best part, though, is that we can walk there, and how walkable it is compared to other commercial places in town. I wanted to talk at the council meeting tonight to encourage a look at the zoning requirements of the district. With the rumors of new development possibilities and other development that is planned or ongoing, we should try to encourage any changes to the town center to continue to be and make improvements to the pedestrian-friendly nature of the area. On one side of town, we have the Turnpike, and on the other, we've got Fen Road and Route 9. A good chunk of our town is built for cars, and it would be an excellent idea to have the town center not built for cars, but built for people, for the residents of Newington. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Ostrinsky. Is there anybody else who wishes to participate in public participation? All right, seeing none, we will move on to remarks by counselors on public participation. Does anybody have any comments or concerns or questions that they'd like to speak about?
Mr. Mayor, can I just say, I'm sorry, Councilor Mackey, just briefly about email correspondence. Can you, I don't know if we want to address that before we go on to whoever's next.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Is there any email correspondence? I apologize.
I just wanted to acknowledge Mr. DeFrancesco, who has written us with questions about economic development and whether or not there are incentives, financial or otherwise. And I know that you, Mayor, and the town manager are looking into that. We'll get back to Mr. DeFrancesco. I just wanted to recognize his letter and correspondence asking us about that.
Thank you, Councilor Page. All righty. Moving right on. All right, Councilor Mankey. Yeah, hear you, Councilor.
Check your mic.
Can you hear me now?
There you go.
Okay. I just want to thank people for taking the minute to zoom in, and I know it's not ideal being on Zoom, but we're working through the kinks on it. It seemed like we did this all 2 years in a row for a long time, and now we're working back through the kinks of it. But I appreciate everybody's sticking with us.
Perfect. Thank you, Councilor Mankey. Any other remarks by councilors? Councilor Page.
Yeah, thank you. I would just, for his comments about 3333 tax fixing agreement, and we'll have some more discussion about that later on in the meeting. And I can't really comment on any lawsuits other than anytime any of that happens, it's unfortunate. And I think we all are invested in doing the right thing and leading a town with integrity and according to our values, and continuing to set the climate and culture in every department that's consistent with that. So, and Ms. Lyons, thank you for your request about the status of the town manager position, and we can certainly speak to that in due time and to the extent that we can tonight. I think we can discuss that to a certain extent. And yes, thanks for your patience with all of us working out the kinks on the Zoom. And I agree with walkability. I know, Mr. Ostrinsky, your comments about walkability of the town center. One idea that's been kicked around among many is, what if once a month we shut down Market Square and made it a walking area and had some fun things happening on that street, and businesses participated, and vendors and musicians and other fun things, as just an experiment to see how we could make those roads in the center more walkable, and do some creative things there to give folks an opportunity to spend some money at the businesses and have some fun at the same time. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Page. Any other comments by councilors? Councilor Mankey, your hand is up, or is that from the floor? Very good. All right. Town Manager Trevathan.
Just if I may really quickly, Scott is working with Councilor Redraco to get her back on the meeting.
Okay, good. I was
So
going to
hopefully
ask.
we'll get her back on in a moment. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay. I do want to offer, again, I want to echo Councilor Mankey's statements and thank everybody for making it in and zooming in tonight. I know, again, it wasn't ideal, and we apologize for the late notice, but we want to make sure everyone's safe out there when the weather gets crazy. So we appreciate that. Thank you also. I echo Councilor Page's comments. And to Mr. Horrigan, I share similar frustration, particularly learning about all of these things as we've come in new. Particularly with the lawsuits and settlements. And it is an unfortunate aspect, and we can only talk about what we can talk about by law, unfortunately. But it is a concern of ours, and it will stuff that we will continue to look on and work at as we move forward. All right, moving right along.
Excuse
Okay,
me,
well,
Mr. Mayor. It's Susan.
yes, hi, Susan.
Hi, I'm sorry to bother you. I just wanted to let you know that when we do votes, we have to do it by roll call because we are doing the meeting virtually.
Okay, thank you. That's, again, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Okay, you're welcome.
Good point. All right, so we are moving on then. That's good. That's a good timing because we are moving on to old business. First item is budget review schedule. Any comments, questions, anything to discuss about that? Anything changed since last time? No? Councilor Plourd.
And thank you, Mayor. Just quickly, we just wanted to say again, we had a conversation prior with regards to our regular meeting schedule, not our budget meeting schedule, just around specific holidays in the month of April, and just wanted to affirm to the public we're conscious of those things. Things may need to shift. And so, when we're talking about meeting dates for the rest of the year, always stay abreast of updates on the website, and we'll always be very transparent with the public and let you know when those changes are happening far in advance. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Plourd. Any other questions? No? All right, Councilor Gonzalez, can I have you please read Resolution 6A?
Sure. Resolved that the Newington Town Council pursuant to Section 805 of the Newington Town Charter will hold 2 public hearings on the proposed budget for fiscal year 2024-2025. These public hearings will be held at 6 p.m. in the Town Hall unless otherwise indicated as follows. Tuesday, March 12th, 2024, Town Manager's proposed budget. Tuesday, April 2nd, 2024, Town Council's proposed budget.
Thank you, Councilor Gonzalez. We have a motion. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilor Page. Any discussion? All right, can we have a roll call vote, please, Susan?
Councilor Budraco. Councilor Gonzalez. Councilor Mankey.
Yes.
Councilor Page.
Yes.
Councilor Plourd.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Rada. Councilor Tiniakos. Mayor Trister.
Yes.
Or is Councilor Budraco not on yet?
She is not on yet.
And Councilor Gonzalez.
Councilor Gonzalez, we didn't hear you.
Yes.
And Councilor Mankey.
He was yes.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. My apologies. Okay,
All
thank
right.
you.
Motion, yep, motion carries,
8-0. Oh,
7-0, Gail Budraco absent.
yeah.
Nagel not here. Yep.
Sorry.
Okay, no problem. All righty, moving along now. Next on the agenda is to amend the tax fixing agreement for 3313-3333 Berlin Turnpike. Any more further discussion or questions on that? Councilor Tiniakos.
Yep, so actually I have 2 questions. I have a question and then I have like a statement, I guess. So my statement is that I'd be more comfortable voting on this if we added verbiage that, if we do end up passing this, that it's a one-time thing, that these developers can't come back and keep requesting changes to what we already agreed to in the first place. And then I was also wondering if we had anyone on, maybe Jamie or Fauna, who could speak to the concerns that one of the members of the public brought up about the taxes that we could be getting with the lack of certification that they have, just to get clarity on that before we vote.
Thank you,
Oh, no, you
Councilor.
go ahead.
Yes, I heard you. Good evening. I did not get to see what he passed out. I don't believe that was passed out to everybody. So I wasn't given that. So the structure of this is it's written strictly to the grand list year. So it's starting October 1, 2023, and it will only run for 10 years. So we're no longer hitching it off of starting when he gets the CO or they get the CO. It's starting with October 1, 23, 10 years. That's it, not 13.
Thank you.
I just
Coun-
want to add, this is Janet. I just want to add that he mentioned during his comments that that spreadsheet was made by the developer. That was not made by the developer. That was made by Fauna, our assessor. So they're numbers that we have faith in. It wasn't just something that the developer sent it over to us. Just to clarify, those were our staff numbers.
And those concerns about the missing tax dollars without that certificate, is that not the case now because it's off of the 10-year instead of the 13?
Yeah, it was never 10. So even when it was presented 2 weeks ago, it was for 10 years starting October 1, 23, and that's it. No more any starting off of the CO, the verbiage that's in your packet is going to replace that whole paragraph.
Thank you, Fauna. Councilor Gonzalez. Councilor Mankey?
Yes, I just want to go on record. I will not support this amendment. Originally, we negotiated in good faith for the business owner. I think it's a good deal he received. I don't think it's a good idea to start a precedent of renegotiating our tax fixing agreements, even though we may put language into the motion that would preclude this from happening again. You all know that's anybody comes up and brings another motion, we'll consider it. So I will not support this.
Thank you, Councilor Mankey. Councilor Plourd.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I just wanted to, following up on what's been already said, at the last meeting, there was some a really important discussion around this and some very important considerations. And I just want to uplift, I certainly don't want to speak for Councilor Bedrejko, but I just want to affirm I agreed with her at the time when she mentioned concern that given the how this was described by the developer, that the development could be at some bit of risk if we didn't consider the possibility of an amendment. And so I do share that concern. It's a sizable development with a lot of opportunity and a lot of potential. So I'm cognizant of that. And I agree with Councilor Tiniakos when he mentions wanting to make this contingent for that developer. And of course, should they choose to return to us with a question on an amendment again, we'll revisit that at the time. But we can stand firmly now to say that this is how we're voting this evening if we chose to move forward with that, and that wouldn't be something that we would support from that developer. We can be pretty clear about that. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Plourd. Councilor Gonzalez.
Hi, yes. I just wanted to be clear for the public. We are not losing any money in taxes. It's the same amount of taxes in the end that we would get if this was not approved. Is that correct? Maybe Janet can speak to that. Yeah, that is correct. As per our analysis, if you're looking at, we're even assuming that the mill rate stays exactly the same and doesn't go up. It's showing that we will not based on that. And the reality of in 10 years, the mill rate never going up. Yeah, not too realistic, but we wanted to keep everything kind of simple, and it's showing that no, we will not lose any tax. Thank you.
Thank you, Janice. Thank you, Councilor Gonzalez. Councilor Page. You're on mute.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Mayor. Totally back Councilor Mankey's comments about not supporting to be inconsistent, however, because Councilor Rada and I consistently voted against residential only tax fixing agreements, which appeared to be predicated upon either very faulty information or crickets when we asked for hard data on the return on investment for residential tax fixing agreements. Here with 33, we have data that supports when we're supporting tax fixing for retail, that there's a significant return on investment for the town. It's done consistently across America for obvious reasons, in my view. And I also want to just say that I have faith in Ms. Murphy's acumen and history and experience in assessing these. I believe she has the best interest in the town at heart, as is our acting town manager. And I have to rely on their knowledge and wisdom in these matters. With all due respect to Mr. Horrigan or anyone else in the public who would differ, I have to support our town officials when they come out and say this is a net neutral deal and it shows good faith in trying to work with our business community, which is what we need to do in these tougher inflationary times. So
Thank you, Councilor Page. Deputy Mayor Rada. I can't hear you, Kim. Oops, sorry. Kim's having some audio issues. Okay.
well, we say that I didn't mean to neglect Ms. Eller's point of view as well, and I respect that as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor. Right. Any other questions or concerns from councilors? Okay. I'll say this is a tough one. I understand that, you know, these things happened prior to most of us being on this council, and I tend to not be a huge fan of the tax fixing agreements, although I do think, as Councilor Page said, for instances, for retail, they tend to make sense. But I do think it's important that we are a friend of the business community in our town and do what we can to support them, particularly in these economic times. And most importantly, I think it's important that we listen and trust our staff on this, as they've been working incredibly hard to put these proposals and work together. As I trust them that it's a no net loss to the town, I'd be in favor of moving this forward. Assuming we add the caveat that Councilor Tiniakos offered in regards to not doing it again. I understand that we can say that all we want and people can still come back, but we still are entitled to consider it at those times and take no action if we don't want to at that time, and that's fine. But I think it should be moved forward at this point, and I'll be voting in favor of it. Any other councilor comment or discussion? All right, Councilor Page, would you please read a resolution?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, and also can we ask, and maybe he's already working on it, can Scott work with Councilor Rada and anyone else, Drake or anyone else who's having technical issues? Thank you. So reading resolution amendment to tax assessment fixing agreement, whereas a tax assessment fixing agreement was approved between the town of Newington and Grossman Development Group, LLC, dated April 18, 2022. Whereas Grossman Development Group, LLC, filed an assignment and assumption of tax assessment fixing agreement from Grossman Development Group, LLC, to Meadow Commons Owner, LLC, in July 2022. Whereas Meadow Commons Owner, LLC, wishes to amend such tax assessment fixing agreement. Whereas Article 2, Miscellaneous, Section 4, Amendments, this agreement shall not be modified or amended unless in writing and signed by both parties. Now, therefore, in consideration of the mutual promises contained in the tax assessment fixing agreement dated April 18, 2022, the parties agree to the following. Article 1, undertaking Section 3, be replaced in its entirety with the following. 3, fixed assessment period the town and Meadow Commons owner LLC agrees that the tax abatement on the real property during the number 10 consecutive years fixed assessment period commencing on October 1, 2023 shall be fixed on the grand list of the town for the fixed assessment period, quote unquote, at the percentages of real estate taxes that would be due under the conventional method of valuation and assessment of the town as follows. Grand list year, October 1, 2023, tax abatement 100%. Grand list year, October 1, 2024, tax abatement 60%. Grand list year, October 1, 2025, tax abatement 55%. Grand list year, October 1, 2026, tax abatement 50%. Grand list year, October 1, 2027, tax abatement 50%. Grand list year, October 1, 2028, tax abatement 50%. Grand list year, October 1, 2029, tax abatement 50%. Grand list year, October 1, 2030, tax abatement 40%. Grand list year, October 1, 2031, tax abatement 35%. Grand list year, October 1, 2032, tax abatement 10%.
Thank you, Counselor Page. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Counselor Gonzalez. Susan, can we please have a roll call vote?
Yes.
I think, do
Counselor
we
Bud-
ask a point of order?
Oh, I'm
any
sorry.
further-
Any discussion? All right.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, one thing.
Yes.
Do we want to add the amendment that Councilor Tiniakos had spoken about as well? What is the process for that?
Yes, can we add that language to the resolution some way, Jamie?
You can amend your motion to add that language if you wish to. And also, Counselor Rada, if you hear this, can you please call Scott Hoagland? I just sent him your phone number so we could try to get your audio up and running.
I'm
Oh, you're on.
I'm on now. Okay.
Great.
I think my mic was the volume was down too low. So if everything is okay, I'm good to go.
Perfect, thank you.
But thanks for checking.
All right. So we're gonna amend the motion. Oops, Counselor Page. No, I can't hear you. Oops, Counselor Draco.
Okay. Since I was out for a lot of the discussion, can you just repeat what Counselor Taniakis's amendment was?
His amendment was that he wanted to add a caveat that there be no other agreements to change this after this. This is the one time, basically.
Okay, thank you.
Can you hear me now?
There you go. Awesome. Thank you, Counselor Page.
I just went to my phone. I can't figure this out on my, yes. I'm happy to amend my motion to that effect, that this would be a one-time, amendment.
Okay. To the secondary, are you okay with that amendment?
Yes.
Okay, very good. All righty, Susan, can you do a roll call vote, please?
Yes, Counselor Budraco,
Yes.
Counselor Gonzalez,
Yes.
Counselor Mankey,
No.
Counselor Page,
Yes.
Counselor Plord,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Rada,
Yes.
Counselor Tiniakos,
Yes.
Mayor Trister.
Yes.
7 yes, 1 no.
Motion carries 7-1 with Counselor Nagel absent. Excellent, thank you. Moving on to item 6C, annual cemetery fee. Any questions or issues from the last time we spoke about this from counselors? Deputy Mayor Rada.
I just want to say that I know we had discussion at the last council meeting, and I believe that this is reasonable. Mr. DeMayo has done what we asked him to do when he brought this to the council during the last session, and I think bringing it to our attention, I appreciate, and the increases I feel are reasonable and acceptable.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Rada. Councilor Mankey.
Yeah, I have no objection to this this change. I just would like to see at some point if Mr. DeMayo could bring to us what other town-owned cemeteries in the area charge for these services, just to make sure we stay in line with what other towns are doing. I think it's always a good thing to benchmark us against what other towns charge for these services.
Thank you. Any other questions or concerns from counselors? No? Seeing none. Councilor Plord, would you mind reading resolution, please?
Certainly, Mr. Mayor. Resolved, the Newington Town Council hereby approves the cemetery proposed fees as proposed by William DeMayo, Superintendent of Parks and Recreation, a copy of which is attached to this resolution.
Very good. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Deputy Mayor Rada. Any discussion? Seeing none. Susan, would you please do a roll call vote?
Yes. Counselor Budraco,
Yes.
Counselor Gonzalez,
Yes.
Counselor Mankey, Counselor Page,
Yes.
Counselor Plord,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Rada,
Yes.
Counselor Tiniakos,
Yes.
Mayor Trister.
Yes.
8-0.
All right, motion carries 8-0 with Counselor Nagel absent. Moving right along. Next on the agenda is budget transfers. Any update on that, Ms. Murphy?
Nope, no update at this time on that. Same as it was 2 weeks ago. If you guys have any additional questions on it.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments or concerns from counselors? Seeing none. Deputy Mayor Rada, would you mind reading the resolution?
Yes. Certification in accordance with Section 808 of the Town Charter. I hereby certify that there exists free from encumbrances in the following appropriations in the CIP Building Fund, the amounts listed below. Account number 31110-8550, title transfer to the general fund, amount $20,000. Janet Murphy, Director of Finance. Resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby transfers the above certified funds in the CIP Building Fund to the following account. Account 11014-8220, title interest expense, amount $20,000.
Thank you, Counselor. We have a motion.
Second.
Seconded by Counselor Mankey. Any discussion?
Is there another section to that, Mr. Mayor, or am I missing?
There's another resolution for the money
Okay.
you're taking from the general fund.
Yeah, there's two resolutions. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So motion by Kim, seconded by Counselor Mankey. Any discussion? Any additional discussion? No. Can we have a roll call vote, please, Susan?
Yes. Counselor Budraco,
Yes.
Counselor Gonzalez,
Yes.
Counselor Mankey,
Yes.
Counselor Page,
Yes.
Counselor Plord,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Rada,
Yes.
Counselor Tiniakos,
Yes.
Mayor Trister,
Yes.
8-0.
All right. Deputy Mayor Rada, would you read the next resolution?
Certainly.
Thank you.
Certification. In accordance with Section 808 of the Town Charter, I hereby certify that there exists, free from encumbrances, in the following appropriations in general fund, the amounts listed below. Account number 960, title contingency, amount $148,021. Janet Murphy, Director of Finance. Resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby transfers the above certified funds to the following accounts in the general fund. Account number 160, title Town Attorney, amount $113,000. Account number 180, Personnel, amount $10,000. Account number 460, Conservation Commission, $1,500. Account number 510, Health Services, $4,521. Account number 830, Parks and Grounds, $19,000.
Second.
All right, motion by Deputy Mayor Rada, second by Counselor Gonzalez. Any discussion? Seeing none, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Just for the,
Counselor,
Oh,
I'm
sorry,
sorry.
Counselor Floyd.
just for the record, if I'm right, I think that was seconded by Counselor Bedrejko. Am I correct?
Oh, I'm sorry, Counselor Bedrejko with the second. I apologize.
Oh, that's right. I'll gladly share it with Miss Gonzalez.
So motion by Deputy Mayor Rada, second by Counselor Bedrejko. Any discussion? Seeing none, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Counselor Bedrejko,
Yes.
Counselor Gonzalez,
Yes.
Counselor Mankey,
Yes.
Counselor Page,
Yes.
Counselor Plord,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Rada,
Yes.
Counselor Tiniakos,
Yep.
Mayor Trister,
Yes.
8-0.
Motion carries 8-0 with Counselor Nagel absent. Right, moving on to American Rescue Plan funds. Agenda item 6E. Any, I know we were last where we met, we were gonna take some more time to have acting town manager give us some of her recommendations, which we've now received, and we've had some time to review that. Do folks have any questions or concerns or issues? Any questions? Counselor Tiniakos.
But I would be in favor of not taking action on this tonight, just so we can kind of sit down with our town manager and get a little bit more insight on some of the recommendations that were proposed. I don't think it's very pressing thing that we have to take action on, so I'd like just to get clarification on a few things.
Oh, good. Counselor Bedrejko?
Yeah, well, one of the things I just want to clarify, because there has been confusion on this, the funding has to be encumbered by December 31st, 2024 and spent by when?
December 31st, 2026. I think there's a typo in your memo that says it has to be expended by 2024. It has to be encumbered by the end of this calendar year and expended by December 31st, 2026.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Counselor Mankey.
I'm in favor of moving forward with this. We've had this on our agenda now for a few weeks or a few meetings. If there are any questions, I'm sure the acting town manager can answer them coherently. I think this is a pretty exhaustive list of things that we can use for the various departments who requested this money, and I think we should move forward.
Thank you, Counselor Mankey. Counselor Floyd.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I one of the questions that I had looking at what was attached to our agenda this evening, which hadn't been prior. Of course, we've taken some time. Thank you, Acting Town Manager Trevathan, for providing your recommendations. Some of it struck me that it seems that a couple of these items seem to be in process of being purchased already. I may be wrong about that, but if that is the case, one concern I had, comment, statement, was just if departments have it within their budget to purchase some of these items already, that's wonderful, that's great. But I wonder if being a bit more critical perhaps of some of these recommendations from departments, we clarify perhaps that a good use of ARPA funds, at least in my own perspective as one counselor, would be for those projects that are not, that the budget does not currently allow for those specific departments to purchase, the shiny objects or the new things that, are maybe inconceivable to be purchased without an additional budget request for this year's coming budget. So just as a point of statement, that's my perspective. And for that reason, I may support Councilor Tiniakos, as he said, tabling this for another time so that we can get some answers with regards to those things.
Thank you, Councilor Plord. Councilor Page.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. A couple of questions. One is, do you know, and if you don't know tonight, Town Manager Trevathan, that's fine. You could get back. In terms of the playscape, do we have a rotation, or Ms. Murphy, if you know, do we have a rotational schedule in any way where we work on replacing playscapes or other related infrastructure in our parks, or is it sort of more organic as to when those get replaced as they evidence damage and so forth?
My understanding is that they are trying to get one done per year as they go through, as they wear out, and then they will continue to address them as they're needed. But for now, the plan is to go do one neighborhood park per year. And just a point of order, you can call me Jamie. My last name is a doozy, so feel free.
All right, well, all right, Jamie, thank you. I want to show respect. But do we have any idea when Seymour Park is due? Are they up in the rotation? Or to maybe Councilor Plord's comment about the extent to which in an upcoming budget, if it looks like we'll be expending monies for that, would that be wise to consider doing that? If not, then it's a moot point if it's not until 3 or 4 or 5, 6 years.
I can answer that one for you, Jamie, if you're good, because I did look at this when we put together the list. We have a 5-year plan that's in the CIP. Seymour Park is not listed as of last year on that 5-year plan. It's outside that time frame.
Okay, thank
Correct.
you.
And it was indicated as a lower priority on this ARPA list as well, which is why
that's correct.
Included in my recommendation.
Thank you. I see that. Thank you. And then the only other comment or questions I have, I know we've talked about supporting the box truck and the pickup truck as a highway department purchase, and for multiple applications. Do we have, when we make purchases like that, where there are obviously maintenance and fuel and upkeep, do we ever take into consideration what some have referred to as legacy costs in subsequent budgets? And to what extent does that affect our decision to make that purchase or not? You might say, well, gee, if we need a truck, we need a truck. We have to buy a truck. But legacy costs in terms of that upkeep, to what extent does that affect that decision?
That's a great question. Yes, in all of these recommendations, legacy costs were considered, particularly in the equipment items. Would they cost, or actually one question was, would any of these cause reoccurring expenditures? And then would there be legacy costs such as maintenance, repairs outside of warranty, perhaps labor costs to operate the equipment or the machinery, fuel? There are a lot of things that we looked at, but I talked to the department heads. Most of these items on here would not, most of the equipment you see on there would not cause a significant amount of unbudgeted costs outside of what our staff would normally do for routine maintenance, that type of thing. Wouldn't require us to hire anybody to run the machinery. For the box truck and the pickup truck, of course, there is cost associated with purchasing a vehicle, just like if you did at home. And in this case, we believe that the benefit of purchasing those items outweighs the future costs.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Tiniakis.
Hey, and yeah, just to clarify some of the concerns I have, it's also about the box truck and the pickup truck. It's my understanding that these vehicles are going to be shared across multiple departments. And having a background in the auto insurance industry, I just have kind of concerns about, well, I mean, whenever there are multiple people sharing one vehicle, there's always a risk associated with that. So I wanted to know if we have something in place, like whether it be through the highway department or the town itself, where there's like accountability for whoever's renting the vehicle at that time. If there's like, you know, a sign up list or some sort of formal way that we can keep track of who's using the car when, and if that department then has responsibility of the vehicle while they're using it. I just want clarity on that because I want to minimize risk to one, like, you know, the town's insurance. And then two, I don't want there to be friction between different departments if something arises and then there's not a set precedent to handle a situation like that.
Sure, that's also a great question. We would certainly come up with a procedure in place for staff. The intent for the box truck and the pickup truck would be to be shared among multiple departments. There's a list of reasons why we would use it. Our risk manager, Lauren Ryans, is on the call. Lauren, if you are hearing this, maybe you could answer the liability port piece.
Hi, I'm so sorry. I actually did not hear the initial question because my child decided to come in right at that moment and fall.
Oh.
If someone can just repeat it, I am happy to join in.
Yeah. So yeah, my question was just as far as you know, with multiple parties like using the vehicle at once, and in the you know the big possibility of like there being some sort of loss associated with them driving the car around, just what are the parameters as far as like the risk to the town as far as insurance, or if there's going to be frictions as far as to what department is going to be responsible for whatever damages might arise out of that. I just want to know if there's like, if we have like set precedent.
So the insurance policy for the autos, for the vehicle fleet for the town is all one policy. It's not broken out by department. The vehicles are assigned to different departments, but it's one auto policy through KERMA. So there wouldn't be any type of sharing liability. It's all one policy. As far as increased costs for premium, on a vehicle is pretty minimal, considering our entire schedule of values is quite high for the entire fleet. So I don't see it being an issue when in regards to liability. Okay.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Rada.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. One is, I think, hold on one second. For the Register of Voters, Fire King Index Card and Drawer Storage System, I'm just questioning whether this needs to come from ARPA funds, or is there money in the Register of Voters in the budget to be able to purchase this, which would then free up a little over $8,000 in ARPA funds for something else? That's my first question. And I guess that probably goes to Janet.
Registrars is a small department. They're not huge. So when something comes up like this, it doesn't seem like a very big amount for someone like the PD or maybe the highway. It wouldn't be, but they really, at this point, I wouldn't say that they have the money available to fully cover this now. With a lot of things going on with early voting and all the other things they have to require come this spring, it's a very uncertain time for them.
Their operating budget is minimal outside of labor costs and as the finance director just said, mandates regarding voting laws and early voting and all that. So that there's very little left over.
And unfortunately, I don't think Bill DeMayo is on the call, but the question of the pool house renovations for both Churchill and Mill Pond, the request was for $160,000, and the recommendation is not to purchase that. Do we know what needs to be done? I'm sure it's more than cosmetic, but do we have any idea what those renovations would be. And I know we go round and round with the pools and with the costs. But if there's something that really does need to be addressed for either, safety or public health, I'd be interested to know what that might be.
Give me a moment. I'm just looking back to my notes.
Yeah, sure.
Unless Janet has info, Andy. Oh, here-
Do you got it, Jamie? Because I remember his discussion just yesterday.
Sure. Painting floors and walls with epoxy coating for safety and sanitary purposes, repairing leaking pipes and aging shower valves for more efficient operation, reduce annual repair costs associated with aging pool houses, make the interior more aesthetically pleasing to our residents. That was his reasoning on his request. It was indicated as being a lower priority level, and also, the consideration of the larger picture of where we're going with the pools in general makes it perhaps not something, and I will say, if the council decides to consider any or all of these, the total of all of the requests is $1,758,000, which leaves additional funding that needs to be encumbered by the end of this calendar year. So some of these can certainly be, if the council wishes to reconsider them later on, once we have a better picture of our budget and other needs, then certainly you can come back to do that.
Okay, and one other question that I have, or a thought, and this is going to once again revisit Camp Avenue. We have road surfacing for $165,000. I know we had asked at least a year ago and received 5 options when we initially began the conversation of widening the road to its original width. There has been a lot of discussion. There's a lot of concern. My question is that I don't feel that has been sufficiently addressed. There hasn't been a decision made. There's been a lot of speculation, and other folks previously have weighed in on it. I would like to go back and take another look at what those options were, number one, and number two, if the road needs resurfacing, as we know many of our roads are in need, and we're trying to play catch up over the years to get our roads back to the condition that we want them to be in. It's kind of a chicken or an egg. Do we allot or allocate the $165,000 for road resurfacing and then address the possibility of widening the road, and what impact would that have, and what additional cost would that be? Or do we wait? I'm trying to gauge that. I'm still unsure about how we should go with this, and I don't know who might have an answer.
What to go, how to move forward with that would definitely be a policy decision for the council to consider moving forward. In terms of this request, I believe, and again, Janet, please correct me if I'm wrong, based on my research, there's already money encumbered in the CIP for the resurfacing, and this is to supplement that funding.
You're correct, because this has been an ongoing issue for 2 years, whether we resurface it. And it was in pretty bad shape almost 2 years ago when we originally approached this. So one way or other, I think, and we can ask Rob on this for some kind of, but I believe what he said is if we don't do it soon, it's going to cost us even more, because we're going to have to not just resurface, but totally dig up the whole road.
So this 165 is in addition to whatever is currently in the CIP.
Correct.
So we're talking about a lot more than 165 to do
Correct.
the resurfacing.
To just do the resurfacing.
Correctly.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. You've answered my questions.
Thank you. Councilor Rodrigo.
Just a general question, maybe comment or observation just about the process for this. I know earlier, everyone talked about trusting staff, and I do think that this was not a list that was thrown together in a vacuum or without input from every department. What I like about it is that, first of all, we have two town managers scrutinizing this list. Town manager Hutka, who, rather than operating in a vacuum, he had this pot of money and giving the allocations to either the departments that screamed the loudest or had the best public relations, whatever. He did go out and solicit input from every department. Every department then came back and gave, as Jamie had alluded to, how much of a priority it was in terms of their requests, in terms of their needs. So it was prioritized by the departments as well. And in addition, once Jamie took over, she was very clear in the criteria that she used. So she re-scrutinized this list and went over her criteria, which she gave us in the memo, whether it was, one time or recurring, the prioritization, and working concurrently with Janet in the budget. So we have talked about this, as Councilor Menke had said before, and it is always good to question whatever, but all of these, we had, as a group, either the prior council and this council, we had seen this list already. The department's heads, some of them did answer for us. What I personally like about it, it is not just allocated to one or two departments. This ARPA funds was, let's face it, a gift. And a gift to be shared, I think, not just utilized for one or two departments that scream the loudest or have the most visibility. There are departments here that probably never get anything, such as the voters, the registrar of voters, who had an opportunity to get something that they needed. So I do believe that these were not just willy-nilly lists. They were prioritized by the departments. Every department, for the most part, was given input and given an opportunity, and two experienced town managers, two experienced staff looked over again and scrutinized it, Mr. Hutka and Jamie. So I am, I do believe that this windfall is being allocated appropriately and shared among all the departments who have resource needs. It was just a comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Draco. Councilor Menke.
Yeah, just to point out, historically, this fund has been used for one-time purchases or sort of extras. It's like, you find extra money in your checking account and you go out and you buy something. I don't think it should be used for maintenance, and there's therefore things like, the pool painting of the bathhouses, although that may be important, that should come on the regular budget process, and that should be a regular budget item where the pool houses get painted on a regular basis. We shouldn't have to depend on a windfall like the ARPA money to do that. So I think this is a comprehensive list. I think, as Councilor Draco said, almost every department gets something off this list. They're mostly one-time purchases or one-time events, and I kind of like that about the list. So I'm in favor of this.
Thank you, Councilor Menke. Councilor Gonzalez.
I just wanted to circle back to Councilor Plourd's question. I'm not sure if it was answered and I missed it. Are any of the things on this paper actually already in the department's budget? I'm not sure who would answer that.
Jamie, if you're good, I'll answer it. No, they are not.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Councilor Page.
Thanks, Mayor. I think I agree with pretty much everything that has been said, including what Councilor Menke and Draco have said about the integrity of this list. I just would ask for one more round of thought in the next couple weeks, and to have us maybe delay one more meeting to think this through and ask any final questions. It's a large pot of money, and maybe it's just my anxiety about dealing with that much money at one shot. But I agree. I think it's been vetted thoroughly and with integrity, and it isn't a matter necessarily of of questioning anybody's judgment on it. It's really just my own comfort with making sure we're doing the right thing.
Thank you, Councilor Page. Councilor Floyd.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Ms. Murphy, for answering that question. I appreciate it. So I agree with what Councilor Mankey, or both Councilor Mankey and Councilor Page have said. I agree then that if councilors do still have questions, I had my questions answered, along with other questions other folks had that were also answered. But nonetheless, if councilors do have questions, I think it's both us taking another swing at this in 2 weeks, so that we can all have the information that we need as councilors to make a fully informed decision.
Thank you, Councilor Floyd. Yeah, I agree with what's been said. I think it's a good list. I don't see anything glaring on there that should or shouldn't belong, but I do. I know there's a lot of questions tonight, and I know that, often, at least for me, sometimes I'll end up later having a question that I wish I would have asked now. So I kind of tend to agree that I think we should probably leave it for another meeting, and then take action at the first meeting in February. Does that work? All right. So we'll leave this on the agenda for another meeting, Jamie, and to take action at our first meeting in February. Any other questions or comments or concerns from councilors on ARPA funding? Seeing none, we will move along. Next is our old friend, disband inactive committee, school code compliance committee. Anything new on that?
We have no updates on that. We are still working on trying to figure out how to go ahead and get the reports to disband that committee.
Councilor Mankey.
I would just thank you for keeping this on the list. Eventually this will get off the list, I'm sure. But I think it's important we keep it on the list to keep everybody's mind that this is an issue that needs to be resolved as quickly as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Mankey. Councilor Floyd.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to that end, Jamie and I believe Mr. Jacomowitz is here as well. Thank you for being here. I don't know if you could provide any sense of a timeline. This may have been asked in a prior council meeting, and I don't know if it was answered, but particularly since Mr. Jacomowitz is here, would appreciate it if you did have any information, if you could share.
Sure. Can you hear me?
Thank you.
If I recall correctly, the closeout project summary is something that is presented to the town council for, I believe, acceptance of the project. So it's on the town side of the building committee ordinance as far as who takes action on that. I know that all of the legwork is done and it's been submitted to the state for processing payments on it. I actually had a conversation today with somebody from school facilities following up on that. So I'm optimistic something will happen in the not too distant future. I certainly willing to help Lauren write something between us that'll satisfy whatever the town needs are on this to move this along. I'm not aware of any other action that needs to be taken by the committee for anything, the building committee, for any item at this point. So keeping it active to finalize the report is fine, but I don't foresee any need to have people, needing to take formal action, for anything with regards to the project. So, certainly if that's a appropriate solution, I'm more than happy to help to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Jacomowitz. Councilor Mankey. You're on mute.
In this council's point of view, a final report saying we're all done would be fine for me.
Understood. Thank you.
That's really helpful. So I will go ahead and get that hopefully for your next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or concerns on this topic? Nope. All right. We will move along then to resignations and appointments. Let's see, we have one, Counselor Mankey, would you mind reading the resolution? Oops, you have your hand up. Nope, you're muted.
You think after 2 years I would get the hang of how this works? I'll be good by tomorrow, trust me.
Right.
Resolved, the Newington Town Council hereby accepts the resignation of Willard Spector as a member of the Zoning Board of Appeals in accordance with correspondence received on January 11th, 2024 and effective immediately.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Counselor Plord. Any discussion? Seeing none. Susan, can we please have a roll call vote?
Yes, Counselor Budrejko,
Yes.
Counselor Gonzalez,
Yes.
Counselor Mankey,
Yes.
Counselor Page,
Yes.
Counselor Plord,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Rada,
Yes.
Counselor Tiniakos, Mayor Trister.
Yes.
Counselor Tiniakos,
I hear you. Nope, can't hear you now. Thumbs up.
Yeah, thumbs up works.
The affirmative, it was affirmative response.
excellent, thank you.
All right, the motion carries 8-0 with Counselor Nagel absent. Okay. All right, moving on to tax refunds. Counselor Budrejko, would you mind reading the resolution?
You caught me off guard there.
Sorry.
Resolved, that property tax refunds in the amount of $1,171.35 are hereby approved in the individual amounts and for those named on the request for refund of an overpayment of taxes certified by the revenue collector, a list of which is attached to this resolution.
Second.
All right, motion by Counselor Budrejko, seconded by Deputy Mayor Rada. Any discussion? Seeing none, can we have a roll call vote?
Yes. Counselor Budrejko,
Yes.
Counselor Gonzalez,
Yes.
Counselor Mankey,
Yes.
Counselor Page,
Yes.
Counselor Plord,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Rada,
Yes.
Counselor Tiniakos, Mayor Trister.
Yes.
I didn't hear.
I didn't hear. AJ, did you respond? It looks like he's frozen now.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Go to your phone.
Yeah. Oh, there he is.
Computers are acting weird.
I think he just logged in. Can you hear us, Counselor Tiniakis? Okay, so I guess we can, do we wait?
I mean, do we have a majority?
Yeah, we have a majority. So the
Yeah.
motion carried 7-0 with Counselor Nagel absent and Counselor Tiniakos unable to vote. All right. Moving along then. Next is minutes from previous meeting. Counselor Gonzalez, would you mind reading the resolution for 9A?
Sure.
Thank you.
Resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby moves to amend the regular minutes meeting of December 12th, 2023, Section 10, page 16, to include reference to Mr. Hutka and his attorney in the minutes and resolution number 2023-171 to reflect the following changes listed below. That the Newington Town Council, in accordance with CGS Section 1-2006A, hereby moves to go into executive session and invites the town council members, the mayor, Attorney Jared Lucan, Attorney William G. Madison, and Thomas Hutka to discuss a personnel issue, town manager's contract.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Page.
Councilor Mankey has his hand up.
Yep. Councilor Mankey.
Yeah, I guess I'm confused on what the intent of this change of the record is.
My understanding is that the original minutes as submitted didn't have the part where town manager Hutka and his attorney were included to go into the executive session, which is where this motion came from the town clerk to amend that so that the minutes reflect that Mr. Hutka and his attorney went into the executive session. That part of it is only for them going into the executive session. My understanding is if anybody came out of the executive session prior to the council officially ending it, then you'd want to also amend the minutes to include that information as well. So that's what's indicated in the memo here.
So are we going to, I guess I'm confused because they weren't allowed to stay in the executive session. So therefore, I don't think they were really part of the executive session as far as my recollection. So I will not support this motion.
The town clerk's suggestion here was to put on the motion to amend anybody who entered executive session at the time it started. And then notate as well in the minutes, so amend the minutes and notate that the people who left the executive session prior to it left as well. So this is just to amend the motion you made on the 12th to go into executive session, but the minutes also need to be amended to say who went out.
And they should be amended at the same time.
This motion is an amendment to the actual motion you made on the 12th, which is why it's done separately. If you'd like, I can get further clarification from the town clerk on this, but that's the information he relayed to us.
Thank you. Councilor Draco?
Yes, I'm not going to support the motion as written because the invitation, the resolution, the original resolution, Mr. Hutka was not invited. In fact, it was made very clear when he entered the room without the invitation. I'm not sure about the lawyer, quite frankly, but it was very clear that Mr. Hutka was not allowed to stay. In fact, he was told quite forcefully to leave. So the impression that this amending these minutes or this resolution makes it look like he was invited into the meeting where he was not invited at all and he was told to leave. So this to me is not a very accurate statement. So I'm not going to vote in favor of it.
Thank you. My recollection is a little different. I recall that, yes, correct, he was not invited on the initial resolution. However, he was there and we allowed him to stay for a period of time until he voluntarily left. As he was allowed to stay and speak, I think it's only right that we include this just to be on the up and up because he was allowed to after the fact. So that's my position there. Councilor Floyd?
Thank you, Mayor. So I mean, I would defer to the recommendation of the town clerk on how to move forward with this. I wonder, and Jamie, you may know with regards to this, perhaps there's a way that we can just amend the minutes so as to indicate that he was Mr. Hutka and the attorney were there at the start of the executive session, and as well as the fact that they did leave partway through without amending our resolution to enter executive session in light of Councilor Bedraco's comments. I don't know if that's a possibility.
I I do see, we have James, it looks like James is on the call and he has his hand raised.
Oh, great.
Do you think we could, can we, move him over as a panelist, Scott, so he could, speak a minute?
Yep.
Oh, perfect. There you go. Hey, James, go right ahead.
Good evening, everyone.
Hello.
So regarding the minutes themselves, the indication that I had received was that Mr. Hutka and his member, his attorney, had been present in the start of the meeting. So the record as you went into the commission is inaccurate for the start of that executive session. The fact that they did leave the meeting should be indicated inside of the minutes themselves. So if they left the meeting at, let's say, you went in at 10:20 and at 10:25, you removed them due to that issue, that should be indicated into it. And that was the reason to request the amendment to that motion.
So, in your opinion, James, this is the proper resolution. This is the proper way to handle this.
That is. So if they were in as the executive session closed and started, and they had not left the meeting as you began discussions, that should be indicated as being in until such time as they were either removed from the meeting or left the meeting of their own accord.
Thank you. Councilor Bedrejko.
Again, I mean, perhaps this is wordsmithing, perhaps it isn't. I still feel that it's, to use a word, by some of our other counselors, disingenuous to say that he was invited, and he certainly did not leave voluntarily. He did want to stay. My recollection, I will give you my, meager pay that I get for this job. I will bet on it, but in any event, I understand the intent to try to get the fact that he was there and then he wasn't there, but to make it look like he was invited and then he just left voluntarily, I really think is not an accurate portrayal in the way I viewed the situation. So again, I'm not, this is my last time speaking on it, but I'm not going to vote for this.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Rada. You're on mute.
Okay. One concern I have is the word invited. I don't know if there's another way that it can be presented because it wasn't an invitation. Certainly, although I understand what James is saying that yes, because they were there at the beginning of the executive session, we need to document that. That I completely agree with. I'm trying to recall when because we all went out of executive session and caucused, and then came back into executive session. I know that this probably really muddies the waters and it makes it a little bit complicated. So again, I'm going to turn to James and hear what you have to say.
Yep. Thank you. Councilor Mankey.
Again, the word invited is kind of ambiguous, I think, but the town manager was told to leave the meeting because he wasn't invited in the original motion to go into executive session. That was the reason, one of the reasons the majority party asked him to leave. To now change the record like he was asked to stay and he decided to leave is silly. So again, I'm not going to speak on this again, but I will not support this.
Thank you, Councilor Mankey. Councilor Gonzalez.
Should the wording be changed just to be factual that instead of that he was invited, just that he was there and then that he left and then everybody's happy?
I would actually make the change to say, if you have a problem with the invite, I would say a listing of the individuals who entered the executive session. We'll leave it at that.
And that's factual.
Correct. They entered it. Now they were asked to leave at that point, but that'll be part of the minutes that would say the individual exited the executive session at 10:25 or whatever time it was.
And that meets the needs of the records and everything else to show who was who attended.
Yeah, it would still indicate who entered it, although we wouldn't be utilizing the word invited for it, but that would at least keep the record correct of who entered it, which is it's a closed session. And then
Correct.
still indicate who exited it and at what time.
Okay, thank you.
Just for so I understand, it does, we're not ready to, we still have to do the piece about fixing the minutes then too, correct?
Those are actually the same action. So you're effectively just correcting the minute language. That is the same information that would be in the resolution. So once we've worked out the specific language for that resolution and how everybody's comfortable wording it, that would be the same language to replicate into the minutes.
Well, I'd be comfortable then leaving it another meeting so we can get that right. So at least it's appropriate and represents what actually happened. That would be fine with me. Councilor Ployd?
No need, I agree. I think that would be more appropriate.
Okay. So we'll leave this up there another meeting and try and get the language to fit more appropriately to what everyone's recollections. All right, thank you so much, James.
You're welcome.
Righty. So now 9B, regular meeting minutes from January 9th. Was there any issues? Anybody have any issues with those minutes? No. Entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the January 9th regular meeting.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Mankey, seconded by Councilor Gonzalez. Any discussion? Being none, Susan, can we please have a roll call vote on this, or can we do this at once?
I'll just do the roll call just to be safe.
All right, perfect, thank you.
You're welcome. Councilor Budrico,
Yes.
Councilor Gonzalez,
Yes.
Councilor Mankey,
Yes.
Councilor Page,
Yes.
Councilor Plord,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Rada,
Yes.
Councilor Tiniakos,
Yes.
Mayor Trister.
Yes.
8-0.
All right, motion carries 8-0 with Councilor Nagel absent. And we are moving on to new business. New business item 10A, CROG Raise Grant Opportunity Discussion. From what I understand, we have some representatives from CROG here, and we have our planning department. Let me kick it over to you, Jamie, if you want to introduce our guests.
Thank you. So yes, we do have our town planner in attendance this evening, Paul Dixon. We also have Matt Hart, who is the executive director, if I get the title correct, of CROG. And they're here to discuss the Raise Grant opportunity. The Raise Grant is an upcoming grant that has been released that CROG is interested in applying for. It has to do with studying safety on the Berlin Turnpike for pedestrians and others utilizing the Berlin Turnpike. CROG would be the applicant, but in order to proceed with applying for the grant for the study, they would need some buy-in from the towns that run along the Berlin Turnpike. And there is a matching component as well, but I'll turn all that over to Mr. Hart and Mr. Dixon to explain. And we also have Ms. Sanderson here as well.
Thank you. So this is Paul Dixon, town planner. So I just want to give a brief overview. It was kind of noted that the RAISE grant is the Rebuilding American Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity. So this is a funding opportunity from the U.S. Department of Transportation through the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law. So the goal is to critically review and assess the benefits and impacts associated with safely accommodating bicycle, pedestrian, and transit along the Berlin Turnpike through the towns of Newington, Berlin, and Wethersfield. Additionally, considerations for corridor transit hub would be studied as part of this grant, along with transformative land use visions that would be reviewed in detail and selected in each community. Upon completion of the study, key recommendations and projects would be ready to seek funding and implementation. So the reason for this grant is crash and serious injury maps within the Capital Region's Regional Safety Transportation Plan depict the Berlin Turnpike as having one of the highest number of crashes, serious injuries, and fatalities in the region. The corridor is listed as a top crash corridor in the region, and multiple locations along the corridor are listed as top crash intersections. Several locations along the corridor are also cited on the list of top non-motorized crash corridors. The lack of sufficient bicycle, pedestrian, and transit accommodations within the corridor contributes to these safety issues. As kind of noted with the cost share, it is a $2 to $2.5 million transportation study with conceptual or preliminary design. And the non-federal match that would be proposed for the town of Newington is $33,333. I would like to turn it over to Matt Hart, if I could at this time, for any further detail and questions.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dixon. Mayor, Town Council, good to see you this evening. Matt Hart, Executive Director at the Capital Region Council of Governments. I had an opportunity to visit with your predecessors last year. I'm joined tonight by Elizabeth Sanderson, our bipartisan infrastructure law coordinator, and I'd like to turn to her in a moment if I could, Mayor. But I would just emphasize a few points that Mr. Dixon made. I think we've got an opportunity here with the RAISE grant to work with the DOT and 3 of our member communities to do some really good things on a problematic stretch of roadway here in our region. The DOT is very interested in this project, and as you can see from the write-up, they are willing to contribute 10%, perhaps more, of the 20% non-federal share of this project. Also, CROG itself, we will be seeking a contribution roughly in the 5% mark as well towards this project, utilizing CROG monies. And this is an agenda item for our policy board at its meeting tomorrow. So again, I think we've got a moment in time here where we could pursue this federal grant under the bipartisan infrastructure law and do some really good things for our region. So with your indulgence, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to turn to Ms. Sanderson to add a few details, talk a little bit about the estimated budget and the timeline.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mayor and Matt and Paul, for the opportunity to speak on this project a little further. As was mentioned, we're looking at assessing and developing conceptual plans that could be for bicycle, pedestrian, and transit improvements along the Berlin Turnpike. Would be looking to implement complete streets approach that would be consistent or exceeding the state's complete streets design criteria. And the goal would be to address the critical need for improved connectivity and safety for all road users along the corridor. We'd also be looking to identify connections to existing bicycle and pedestrian facilities and clusters of residential development that are adjacent to the turnpike, as well as getting the concept plans or preliminary design to a level of development that we could then get into the next step towards implementation. So seeking additional funding for implementation in the future for the construction to bring the concept into fruition. Another part of the scope would be to study transformative land use planning scenarios on selected sites, and we're looking at a multimodal transit hub, envisioning that could be at the Connecticut Department of Transportation headquarters or another suitable location. We're looking at the Mattabesset Trail, New England Trail crossing, making a safe crossing there where that is in Berlin. And then also a corridor parcel selected by each town for that land use scenario planning. So right now, the project cost estimated $2 to $2.5 million, which will require 20% non-federal cost share local match. And we have the reason you have a $33,333 ask is because that represents 1/3 of the 3 towns that are involved. So collectively $100,000 from the towns, $100,000 contribution from CROG, and then a $200,000 to $300,000 contribution from Connecticut DOT. So we're in the process of getting the application moving, and getting these funding commitment letters is an important part of the application to make us demonstrate our project readiness component for the merit criteria and the selection criteria for the grant. So once we're expecting, the grant deadline is February 28th. The US DOT anticipates announcing awards in June of 2024, and it'll take a couple months for that grant agreement to get executed, but we're anticipating going out for procuring a consultant by next year, so winter 2024-25, and then initiating the transportation study soon after that, which we anticipate taking 24 months to complete. But we do have to keep in mind that the US DOT requires the funds to be spent by September 30th, 2033. But if you have any additional questions or would like additional information or have questions, we're here to assist. So thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Actually, we do have some questions already. Counselor Menke.
Yeah, I think this is a good study. The turnpike sort of effectively cuts our town almost in half, or there's a half on one side and half on the other side. So if we connect those two sides together, that'd be a great thing. You said the study will take 2 years?
Yes, that's our conservative estimate based on experience here. But our goal here, and Elizabeth, you can elaborate on this if you wish. We want to use this study to get as close to conceptual designs as possible, because we understand that we want to move forward, produce something that could then lead to design and then construction. But these planning studies are typically where you start.
I guess that's my concern. I've sat here at the table or on Zoom for years now. We always have studies and studies and studies, but nothing ever accomplished. So what do you see, 5, 6, 10 years down the road after the study is completed? What do you envision for the turnpike?
Right. So
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Elizabeth.
I said a built trail in 5, 6 years, right? So, but go ahead, Matt.
A built trail. I mean, can you define that?
Yeah. So
go ahead, Matt.
our goal really, again, is to conduct this study because it's generally required so that you can apply for monies for design and then construction. You need to conduct this type of study first. So, we would take the time needed to conduct the study. Towards the end of that, we would be looking at grant opportunities for design and construction. So we would not want to see a substantial delay between the completion of this study and moving forward to design and construction of the recommended improvements.
Yeah, neither would we, I don't think. We would like to go from, making improvements right away.
Yes, no, and we share that goal. We share that goal, Council.
I had just quick information. You're speaking to Wethersfield and Berlin. Have they bought in? Have they agreed to this?
Yes.
Or you speak? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Page.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I think anything we can do, as Counselor Menke said, I guess you already did that. Thanks for the hand. To connect our town and to mitigate the injury and death that's tragic anytime one of those happens, obviously, in town. It is consistent with, I think, collectively what we've heard from our residents and what we've seen in surveys, that we want to see measures taken on the turnpike, on Cedar Street and other avenues to slow down traffic and to make it safer for pedestrians and for cyclists. And so, yeah, and I agree with Councilor Menke, the sooner we do this, the better. And I can't wait to hear, and I know the study needs to be done first before we come up with those recommendations, but to see what that'll look like in terms of sidewalks or safer passage for pedestrians and cyclists, and to make that right now very dangerous roadway safer for all of us. And so I think this is exciting. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor Page. Councilor Madrigal.
Yes, conceptually, I do support this, being a biker and, but, first glance, I see, this is like building, sidewalks along I-84 because the amount of traffic, quite frankly, on the Berlin Turnpike is horrendous. And, I'm just wondering how you envision, I mean, it would be great to put sidewalks and bike trails and whatever, but quite frankly, unless concurrent with that, something is done to control the speeding, something is done to control to alleviate the volume of traffic. It's unless you encase the, pedestrians and the cyclists in concrete tubes along the side of the turnpike, you need to address the traffic violations and the speeding and, the disregard of traffic lights and signals as well. And I would hope that that would be part of this study. Will it be?
Yes, thank you, Counselor. You raised some very good points. So the intent of the study is really to make the road more safe for all users, including motorists, in addition to pedestrians and cyclists. Another important component would be looking at the transit aspect. So where should ideally bus stops be placed or relocated? How can we make bus travel more safe as well? So that's another reason for conducting a study, is so that you can comprehensively look at all of these issues, because we really don't know enough about solutions right now to move forward to design.
And then I do have just a comment. I know the CROG is putting in, 100,000 DOT, whatever, 100,000 or 200,000, whatever, 200,000, and then each Weathersfield, Newington, and Berlin. And I agree that, each town needs to make a contribution, but I would hope that you could persuade, let's say, DOT to up their share from 200,000 you mentioned to possibly 300,000, because it really is not necessarily the residents of Newington, Berlin, or Weathersfield who are the sole users of that road. It's a state road with a lot of state traffic, a lot of state pass through, and it would be, in my opinion, advantageous if the state could pick up a higher portion of the funding and not just have these three towns be responsible for a major throughway that all residents of the state use. Just a comment.
Thank you, Councilor Madrigal. Good. Deputy Mayor Rada.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I want to echo what Councilor Budrico just said, and I think, yes, it's designated as a state road, but I really see it as an interstate, because we, being between New York, Boston, Springfield, beyond up north, we see a lot of traffic coming up and down that turnpike from many different areas beyond just Connecticut. I really like the idea of this. This is something that I know Councilor Budrico and I were liaisons to town planning and zoning when there was discussion about what we all know now is the developments on the Berlin Turnpike. And one of the questions arose was, where are the sidewalks? You're creating this development. Yes, you have mercantile, but you also have residential and are touting movement of people from place to place. But how can that be done safely? And has that ever been, have you ever did you consider that in your design? So I am looking forward to seeing how we can definitely participate in this. Two questions. One, down at the bottom of the page, the final page, I think, list of attachments, Greater Hartford Mobility Study, Appendix J4. I don't think that was attached, but can that be sent to us so that we can see that as well? It's the bicycle and pedestrian alternatives. And also, one consideration is that probably in all of our minds is where this matching funds would be coming from in terms of the budget, especially since we are now going into budget season. And I don't know, maybe Jamie or I don't know if Janet is still on the call, if there are any thoughts to this, but certainly something that we have to consider. I am pleased to hear that Wethersfield and Berlin have both bought into this. And it's just one more way that we can work more collaboratively with our adjacent communities.
I believe Janet left the meeting, but if the council approves of the matching funding, there is a matching grant fund item in the CIP. I believe it resolves in the engineering public works CIP budget. Then that's where that money would come from if the council approves of it. And it's currently budgeted.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councilor Tiniakis.
Hey there, I just a personal question here. Do you have any past projects that are similar in nature to this one that we can kind of see a before and after and kind of just use as a reference to, you know, see what like would be expected if we move forward with this?
Yes, Matt Hart again. We routinely conduct what we call corridor studies and related studies. So we would be happy to provide town staff with a few copies of what we think are relevant. And we would also be happy to come back and make a presentation on those if desired, either for the full council or at council committee level. Mayor, I know Councilor Page has his hand up, but I just wanted to speak briefly to the DOT involvement. The DOT is very interested in this project, and you know, they're willing to contribute 10% of that non-federal match and potentially more. You know, they understand they own the roadway. It's their roadway, and it's the site of their headquarters. But you know, this is not something that they guarantee to make a contribution in this amount for all projects across the state. Again, I think they're excited about this. It is referenced in the Greater Hartford Mobility Study, which was mentioned earlier, and we'll be happy to provide you with that section of the study as well. So I really think we've got a good opportunity here to work closely with the DOT and the three towns over a period of years. You know, let's get through this study. Let's move to design. Let's move to construction. It's going to take a while. It's not going to be easy, but if we all work together, we can get it done. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Page.
Thanks, Mayor. Well, just one last comment. I appreciate the reminder about transit, and given the development that's been happening on our turnpike, I think, yes, transit and coordinating all of that holistically, systemically, and connecting with our town and other centers for all the good reasons of mass transit, I agree with, and I think it's another good reason to support this. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilor Page. Yeah, I just have a general comment. I tend to agree. I think this is a great project. I'm really excited about the collaborative effort between the other towns and the DOT. As you mentioned, Mr. Hart, that you know, they don't often commit to this size of a thing, and so it is awesome that they are excited and equally excited as all of us. So I think this is a great opportunity, and I'm looking forward to continuing the discussion on it. Any other questions or comments from councilors? I think you guys are all set. Thank you so much, Mr. Hart and Elizabeth Sanderson. Thank you so much. And Paul, thank you so much for being here tonight on our Zoom. Appreciate all the insight.
Thank you so much, Mayor and Council. It's been a pleasure working with you.
See you tomorrow. All right, moving on in the agenda. Next is open space committee matters. I think you're here for that, Paul and Jamie. Can you give us an update on what's going on with open space?
Paul, you can go ahead.
Yes, so there are actually two items that are in front of you tonight, and actually in the attendees section, if you would like to promote Gia Pasquarelli, the chair for the Open Space Committee, is here as well. So
Certainly.
the first item that's in front of you is actually the Town of Newington Open Space Acquisition Criteria. So this is actually criteria that was developed with the Open Space Committee. The committee reviewed grant criteria for open space and natural preservation grants and compiled a list of priorities for the town of Newington. The committee voted to approve the document for submission to the town council for their consideration at their regular meeting on January 11th. So the attached criteria will serve as a framework for evaluating parcels for acquisition and affirm the town's commitment to preserving and enhancing open space. The document and criteria incorporate, again, primarily grant criteria is what you can see in the second page of the document listed out. Now that was curated in working with the commission, kind of ranking those and compiling them together. There are certain statements, of course, that are made in the document. As we know, Newington is very developed. With about 90% of Newington developed or committed, there is very little remaining open space left. There are very few opportunities left for open space. So the goal of this criteria is, again, to have a set criteria. Now, the weighting of this criteria can change depending on, again, the priorities of the town at the time, depending on the grants that we are applying for. But this is kind of a foundational document that does exist across other towns as well, and that the Open Space Committee would like it adopted as part of the way we move forward to acquire open space.
I was muted. Sorry. I see Gia is here. Do we have any updates? Gia, would you like to offer any additions to what Paul stated, or I'll allow you? There you go. Ms. Pasquarelli, if you'd like to offer any context.
I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. And maybe there's no video. Not sure what that is. No, Paul really covered everything. We did spend quite a bit of time looking at the pertinent things that would contribute to our ability to get funding, outside funding from the state or elsewhere to be able to acquire any applicable open space. We also looked at verbiage and language from surrounding towns and what they had put in their criteria. So I think that at this point in time, it's really an essential time in Newington to put something out there and have the town council consider something as a foundational document right now.
Thank you, Ms. Pasquarelli. Any comments or questions from councilors? Councilor Bedrejko.
Yes, as Councilor Page and I were part of the Open Space Committee, so we worked diligently on this, and as Gia indicated, well, as we all know, there's very little open space, left in Newington, so we need to jump on opportunities if and when they come available. And this type of document is something that's going to be ready-made and able to be attached or modified to any grant opportunities that come along. So getting this approved and getting the consent of the town council to use this for us going forward, if and when any opportunities for acquisition of any kind of open space comes along, it will be, really appreciated and necessary, quite frankly, because it will also support that there is a commitment in town by the fact that we do have a document ready-made to go and that it was supported by the town council as well as the Open Space Commission. So I hope that we can give our tacit approval to this tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Bedrejko. Councilor Page.
I would agree with everything Councilor Bedrejko just said, and also thank Gia Pasquarelli and Paul Dixon for their leadership in helping us craft this. Very much appreciate it. It's critically important, as others have said, given the limited open space we have remaining. And it is, as indicated by all the data we've seen and all the conversations we've had with residents, a very, very, very high priority, which we need to respect and moving forward with any development or any other considerations for our quality of life. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Counselor Page. Counselor Floyd.
Thank you, Mayor. Also a thank you to Gia and Paul and others who worked on this criteria. I think it's very strong. I am particularly glad to see its alignment with state open space criteria as well. So I think that's wonderful. Just one specific question I had. I was looking through the criteria to find any language related to this, and I couldn't. I may be missing it, but I just want clarification as to whether or not this criteria would apply not just for the acquisition of existing open space, so a field that the town currently doesn't own, for example, et cetera. If it would apply not only to those kind of parcels, but also to parcels that may not currently be open space, so have buildings on them that are decrepit or vacant or so on, that the town may want to purchase for the purpose of creating new open space. Especially in light of how developed our community is. I think that's a direction we should be open to moving in. So I just want some clarification on that, if I may.
Yep. So I can answer to that yes, it would apply again. This is again for the acquisition of open space. This is kind of that foundational document, but the criteria that are in this document are those important aspects of open space, important aspects of recreation, of quality of life, of the feel of the town, along with the natural resources. So all those things come together. Open space is not, it's not just environmental, it's not just recreation. It can accommodate, it can accomplish a lot of goals of the town. So this is something where I would look at it as, yes, this is for the acquisition of open space, but it is setting forth a set of criteria that, I can look at in my work too, and looking at future planning initiatives and looking at ways to, when redevelopment happens, ways to encourage, again, some preservation, encouraging, buffers, encouraging, again, the protection of the resources in a way that describes it, in a way that would enable the preservation and the development to coexist together. So you could have examples where development is sprawling. You have our MS4 requirements for the town where we're looking at stormwater. All of these things can kind of work together for the town's initiatives and goals.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Paul. Counselor Menke.
Yeah, we just thank all those who worked on this document. It's pretty all encompassing here, and I appreciate the efforts that went into doing it. I'm a little concerned though. Rather than just give our tacit approval, I think we should have a motion that we would support this document, so it would be an official response other than just a head nod. So maybe we could just put this on the agenda for our next meeting and just take a motion that we accept this document and we make it part of our policies.
Thank you, Counselor Menke. Any other questions or comments or from counselors? Okay. Oh, Paul, you have a question? There you go. Comment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, if I may. The one item I would like to say too that yes, I believe that a motion would be great on this item, and I do welcome comments from the council, and I welcome comments from the town, from the residents. If they see any concerns, things that they believe they're not covered, they can contact me. So that's P. Dixon at newingtonct.gov, or they can call the town planner's office, or it's townplanner@newingtonct.gov. So there are actually there's one comment I received from the town engineer earlier today. While it's noted in there the natural systems, he wanted maybe explored specific language regarding flood control and working that in. So this is a document that I'm very open to comments on. If it changes dramatically, and I don't see it changing dramatically. I think there's anything that can be done to improve and to hone it, but I'm happy to receive comments from the council and from the residents.
Thank you, Paul. Counselor Menke, you got your hand back up.
Yeah, that's a good point. This document is also changeable as time goes on. So as new developments may occur or new things may come to our attention, we can always amend it or change it. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes.
Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Yeah, I concur with what's been stated. I think this is a good plan, and I'd like to see more than just a tacit approval. So I think, yeah, definitely we'll look at adding it to the agenda for the next meeting to continue moving forward on. Any other questions or concerns from councilors? All right, seeing none, then we are moving on. Thank you so much, Mr. Dixon and Ms. Pasquarelli, for joining us and helping us out on this tonight. Councilor Page, do you have a question?
Yeah, Mayor, with all due respect, just to make sure that we don't, did we skip over 10 B2?
Yeah.
Oh, we did. Oh, I'm so sorry. I apologize.
No worries, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to give that its attention.
Sorry about that. Yep. Yep. Move on to 10 to B2. Sorry about that.
All right, so this is the item that I am still here for as well, too, as then the open space item, and I'm happy to do so. So this is the open space committee letter. I don't know, Mr. Mayor, if you would like me to actually either read it, it's in all of your packets, or just to summarize.
I think you can summarize it. We've read it.
Okay. So the letter is a submission from the Town of Newington Open Space Committee regarding the Hartford Healthcare property sale and redevelopment. Again, the Open Space Committee and the town is aware that the property, the Hartford Healthcare property on Patricia Genova, is available for sale, and that Open Space is hopes that town leadership will discuss the future of this parcel in regards to open space considerations. It is understood that it is private property, privately owned, and that developers are interested in it. However, the town council and other land use boards can influence development in Newington by communicating, encouraging, and incentivizing developers to adopt a vision that reflects the town's POCD and reflects a vision of this property, and again, how it relates to the town center. So again, the letter itself has a lot more to it in it than that, but again, the Open Space Committee wanted to put forward and believes it is, within, I should say, recognizes that it's within their purview to comment on the planning and development of the open parcels in town, and that this is an important parcel for the town. This is a potentially, even from a planning perspective, from a quality life perspective, from how it relates to the town center, this is a potentially significant, rare, and transformative redevelopment opportunity within the town.
All questions. Councilor Bedrejko.
Yes, at our last open space committee, and Councilor Page and Gia can attest to this, there was a very spirited discussion in a very positive way. And one little minor point was that there was discussion on whether we should be proactive, because we don't have the decision-making capability, whatever, or just reactive, but we strongly believe we need to be proactive. We need to be the voice for open space in Newington. I think the residents have clearly stated in survey after survey and conversations. And as much as an open space committee, we don't have a vote, we don't have any decision-making capability, but we do have a voice. And we decided we wanted to bring it to the town council, and we'll certainly bring it to other land use commissions, because the town council, you do have a voice. Again, you can't direct, planning and zoning. You can't enforce the way, private land or land is used. If as long as the developers are within their legal rights, but you do have an opportunity to influence. You can let them know how important, open space is to us as a community, influence the design, influence the development, work with the developers to say, open space is not a money loser. Open space can be quite an attractive magnet for your development. It can make it more attractive to residents, more attractive to people and businesses coming into town. And if you can adopt, and I know all of you, quite frankly, I believe everybody on this council is in our camp, shall we say, but we just want you to know that we in the past, it's been said that, well, it's, private property, blah, 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 there's nothing we can do, but we can do it. We did it with Cedar Mountain, we did it with Mill Pond Park, and we can do it with other developments, but we just have to make our voices heard. And we felt it was very important. This was a good step forward, respectful of the right that we know that this is an important parcel in town and it will bring economic development, but quality of life is just as important. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Bajeko. Ms. Pasquarelli, you have a comment?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Trister, and thank you to both Mitch Page and Gil Budraco for their support and their being a part of open space, and it's I just really wanted to also underscore everything that's been stated and what's in that letter, how really transformative any opportunity that we have to really bring the Hartford Hospital property into consideration for all of the goals for Newington, whether they're commercial, open space, or opportunities for residential housing. We have to be as proactive as possible in encouraging the kind of developers who would, work with us to achieve what we want to achieve. In the sense that, we're here, and the reason we're here is because we're presenting these statements, the criteria and this letter to town council for your action ultimately. I just wanted to kind of remind everybody, and I had to go back and I've read the plan of conservation and development a few times, but it's an extremely dense and rich document, and it's a very, very important document for the town of Newington. I'm sure it's an important document for any town in anywhere in Connecticut or anywhere else. But for us, given with the way we're situated, we're close to a city. We have the Berlin Turnpike that runs through, and that was a very interesting discussion about, how that can serve our town, but also can be a dangerous force. And if you go to the page 28 of the plan of conservation and development, you can read all of the aspects and all of the strategies and action steps that the town has put into this document as it relates to open space in general, and also the role of town council, TPZ, and the open space committee. So there's a lot of synergies that we all have to work together toward these goals. So I think that with this opportunity with Hartford Hospital, which, if I'm understanding it correctly, it's roughly the same acreage as all of Town Center as it exists right now. So I think it's around 45 acres, and I think Town Center is about 44. This is something that really we really want to ask leadership to work proactively on. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pasquarelli. Councilor Page.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I would agree with the previous comments and just say that, we talked about a survey, a study on the Turnpike for all the reasons we've just discussed. And I think it is transformative. It has potential for a once in a lifetime positive shift and change in our town center to stimulate growth, to stimulate our economy, to look at opportunities for housing, and to look at opportunities for preservation of open space and green space and the protection of Cedar Mountain, which we all agree is vital. I think that it's not just Hartford Healthcare property, it's going up the mountain to Cedar Crest Hospital and the ongoing discussions back and forth between our town and the state. It's looking at the best market property, which has been in its disrepair state, other than the fantastic businesses in that strip mall area. The grocery store I'm speaking to has been in disrepair, and all the way out to the Keeney Manufacturing Building, which we're hoping for some great things to happen there, and then moving out into our main center. We've got neighbors on Northwood and Centerwood and Southwood, and we need to hear from them and their concerns. We need to hear from folks on the north side of the center as well, and look at, yes, the POCD. I think we should have a comprehensive study of all those pieces and all of those considerations, so that it is a more integrated approach. It's not bric-a-brac. It's not one piece competing with the other, but it's holistic, it's synergistic, and one can complement the other and make it walkable, as Mr. Ostrinsky had said earlier at the beginning of the evening. So I hope we can do that. I hope we can work with whoever it is that ends up working on that development and do it collaboratively with planning and zoning with all the stakeholders in town. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Counselor Page. Counselor Floyd.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, just quickly, I just want to say for the record, I'm so glad to see this broad agreement around the importance of open space. I'm also really glad, though, on top of that, to see this broad agreement around this posture of proactivity for guiding the kind of development that our residents want to see. Certainly, as Councilor Bedrejko mentioned, not overstepping the bounds of legality, of course, but doing everything we can as a council and on relevant committees and boards and commissions with resident input every step of the way to be active participants in those discussions. I think we owe it to our residents, especially given the current pace of development and concerns that many raise around those developments. That we do take that proactive posture. So I'm really, really excited for the future of development in town with that kind of broad agreement.
Thank you, Counselor Floyd. Any other counselor comments or questions or concerns or anything? No, looking like none. Well, now I can officially say thank you to Mr. Dixon and thank you, Ms. Pasquarelli, for your time tonight, and thank you for your presentation. It was very, very informative and exciting stuff. So thank you so much.
Thank you all.
All right, now we can move on here to item 10C, John Wallace Middle School renovation project. Alrighty, so do you want to give us sort of an overview of where we're at on that, Jamie?
Sure. We have Lou Giacomowitz here, as well as Lauren, Director of Administrative Services, Lauren Rhines as well. In your packet, you see there's a kind of a proposed timeline that Mr. Giacomowitz put together in terms of moving forward with the project, among the town and board staff, as it was accepted by referendum back in November. We received some information just today that the State Bond Commission it was on the agenda for the State Bond Commission to approve the item at the end of this week. However, that meeting at the state level has been canceled, and their next regular meeting, I believe, is February 21st, or at the end of February. So we'll need to see if that goes on the agenda for the February meeting. Also, in researching this, we learned over the weekend in preparing for this that back on May 23rd, the town council appointed this project prior to, this is prior to the referendum, to the Permanent Municipal Project Building Commission as part of the package of requirements to apply for the grant funding. So that's where we are now. That commission will need some appointments at some point, when the council wishes to do so. And that's the update for now.
Thank you, Jamie. Anything else you can offer on that, Lauren? Any more details on that?
I think Jamie has memorialized it very well.
Great, thank you. Any councilor questions or comments? Let's open the discussion up. Oh, Councilor Floyd.
Thank you, Mayor. Just on this, and I know that Mr. Giacomowitz is with us as well. I don't know if there's anything you'd like to add, but I'm really excited to see some movement on the project. I will say I do have some concerns around and I hate to rehash. This certainly preceded my time on the council, most of our time on the council, but I have some concerns around the Permanent Municipal Building Commission and the lack of voting membership for some specific stakeholders in those discussions that I think are important, especially when it comes to our schools and how sensitive those discussions can be. So I have some concerns around that. And certainly am interested in working together as a council, perhaps in doing something, whether it's a change in ordinance or whatever else it might be to rectify some of those concerns that others may or may not share. So I just want to say that for the record, but again, very excited to see this project moving forward.
Thank you, Councilor Floyd. Councilor Page.
Councilor Page, you're muted.
There we go again. Sorry. We're so used to just being at the town council chambers. It's we're getting used to this here. Just in response to Councilor Pluert's comments, and I won't speak for Councilor Rada, but I know that she and I did express concerns about stakeholder involvement and representation, and more voices, not fewer, in the formation of the permanent building committee. I still maintain that view and would look for opportunities for us to make some changes to that to include as many people at the table as possible in moving forward with this and other projects. I think that's what makes our democracy great. And sometimes it's messy and tough to work through, but I think it makes for a better result. So thanks. Well, the mayor looks like is he out?
And many others. Yeah, I'm not sure.
What the heck's going on? That's why I went to my phone only because it was
mine just booted. I had to go to my phone as well. So I'm not too sure.
I don't know what's going on. We can wait a minute. Holy moly. Yeah, the phone works best.
Ironic a little bit, right?
I know, right? Holy moly.
Okay.
Well, quick, let's all talk about them while they're gone. No.
Well, Susan's still here, so it's all part of the record. So.
Tim, did you get booted from the meeting? You did.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, I'm back in. Sorry about that. My computer must have kicked me out for some reason. Still there?
Yes, yeah, we're waiting on some others who were muted as well.
Okay, yeah, looks like a whole bunch of us got booted out. Technology is wonderful.
When it works.
When it works.
I thought God was calling everyone up who deserved it all at once, and I was left remaining with a couple of you guys.
It would be me, Mitch. I'd be remaining. Trust me.
I think it's server side on the town.
Wi-Fi down at town hall. Yeah, it was weird, man.
Oops.
Thank you, all our guests, for your patience.
I know, right? I wonder if we're going to have to reconvene this. It's people aren't coming back in.
Yeah, the mayor said that he can't connect at all. I'm assuming from his phone either, so I really don't know.
And let's see, is Gail in?
Yeah, Councilor Gonzalez just said she can't connect either.
Yeah. On my town laptop here, I can't even connect to the internet, even like on my own Wi-Fi. So there's got to be something going on the town's end.
Yeah, it's got to be the town side.
Yeah.
Deputy Mayor Rada can't connect either.
I don't even know how to go about convening this or restarting it, to be honest.
Trouble is, I don't even think we have the votes here right now to close out the meeting.
Yeah, there's only the four of us, right? Jeez.
All right, everybody go down to TJ's. Well, we'll give them a few minutes, I guess. I don't want to just take off. And Scott is checking on it, looks like.
Yeah.
Okay.
We made it through like 90% of the agenda. Look at that.
Right.
I signed back in my home computer using my wired Wi-Fi, and it worked.
Okay.
Yeah, it worked. You're loud and clear.
Yeah, so you had me twice, so I'm going to sign off on my phone.
Okay.
Hopefully, I'll be back.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, maybe I'll try that.
I'm still here.
Yes.
Can you still hear me?
Yes. Can you hear us fine?
Gotcha. Yep.
Good. Thanks. Well, somebody turn my speakers on.
We may have an early night then.
Yeah.
This meeting is being recorded.
No, see, I think it's strange that the mayor can't connect with his phone. Oh, there he is.
Mitch, I show you're listed twice.
Yeah, I'm gonna get out of there.
Okay.
Mayor, I don't know that we can hear you, John.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I had to jump to my other. I couldn't get on from the phone or for the town laptop. I just jumped on my other one.
Missing.
We're missing
Which
Kim.
Councilor Pacheco.
Recording in progress.
Okay, Scott is rejoining Lauren. Let me see if I can get Councilor Rada and Pacheco back on. Is that all we're missing?
In Gail.
Yeah, Councilor Pacheco and Councilor.
And that is yeah, you can. Oh yeah.
Are you guys are still connected, correct?
Yes.
Okay. It looks like something happened with the town network, and with you guys connecting back with NetMotion, we had the problem. But I think everybody should be able to come back in.
Recording in progress.
Is anyone here? Okay, Gail. Oh, there she is. Perfect.
What did you say, John? You just broke up a little bit on me.
Oh, no, I was just asking if anyone had got, if Gail had been contacted that we were back up, but I see she's jumping, so that's good.
Okay,
Perfect.
yeah, I texted her to try.
Excellent. All right, are we all back good and connected? All right, sounds good. Where were we? Counselor Page, you were about to speak and everything froze.
Did people hear Counselor Pleward's comments?
Oh, yes, I heard Counselor Plewart's comments, yes.
Okay, I was just responding to Counselor Plurd regarding, let me just get into it, 10C.
Yes.
And the Permanent Building Committee. I know I disagreed with the Permanent Building Committee when it was formulated. I want to see more voices at the table rather than fewer. I know it's messy, but I'd like us to talk about that and look for ways to maybe make some changes to that moving forward. That was what I was saying. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Counselor Page. Deputy Mayor Rada.
Yes, I just want to echo what Counselor Page just said. One of the concerns that I always had was that, for example, when there would be school renovation or construction, that yes, superintendent and other entities from the Board of Ed or Newington Public Schools would be seated at the table, but they would have voice but no vote. And the fact that they were not, did not enter in as voting members on the building commission was a concern for me. So I'm just restating what I've stated in the past.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any other counselor comment or discussion on this item? All right. Yeah, I tend to agree with what has been stated previously. I do have some concerns about the Permanent Building Committee and how this works through that. So I definitely want to have some more questions answered and have some more information. So I'll be looking to continue this discussion at the next meeting. All right. So I guess we're moving on then to item 10B, resolution for settlement agreement.
Do we need to waive rules, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, we will likely have to waive rules on this. Counselor Mankey. Nope, you're muted.
Hang on, used the wrong mouse. Is Councilor Bedrico back on?
Yes.
Okay, I see you there. Just again, a statement before we start on this. I'm not the Mankey that's involved in this. I have not been part of this discussion anywhere in the past or in taking any votes on this. I will again recuse myself from this discussion.
Thank you, Councilor Mankey. So with that, we do have we do have to waive rules here, so we do have a couple of resolutions to read. Councilor Tiniakis, would you mind reading the first resolution?
Of course. Resolve the Newington Town Council in accordance with 11 voting of the Town Council rules and procedures adopted February 22nd, 2022. Hereby moves to allow action on agenda items 10D to consider and take action on settlement agreement docket number 322 CV 01409 MPS.
Thank you, Counselor. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Counselor Plord. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, Susan, could we please have a roll call vote on this?
Yes. Counselor Bedrico,
Oh, we lost her.
Counselor Gonzalez,
Yes.
Counselor Mankey,
Abstain.
Counselor Page,
Yes.
Counselor Plord,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Rada,
Yes.
Counselor Tiniakos,
Yes.
Mayor Trister.
Yes.
Well, 6 yes, 1 abstention, and Gail's not available.
All right, so the motion carries 6 yeses, 1 abstention, and 2 absent. Gail Bedrico and Dave Nagel absent.
Okay.
Okay, very good. All right, moving on to the next item. Deputy Mayor Rada, would you mind reading that resolution?
Mayor, do we need public participation at this point?
Yes, thank you for bringing that up, AJ. It's my understanding we'll do public participation after the second motion is read. Is that correct? I believe so.
I think that's the case because they're all related to one another.
Okay. Very
The
good.
council rules would be the public participation comes after you read the resolution. You've already waived the rules, you read the resolution, and then there's public participation.
After
Okay.
we read that. Okay, very good. Thank you. Deputy Mayor Rada.
Okay, resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby moves, should be to accept the proposed settlement agreement and authorizes the town manager or their designee on behalf of the town of Newington to execute any and all documents necessary to complete the settlement agreement, regarding docket number 322 CV 01409 MPS Mankey MV Town of Newington et al.
All right. So now with the motion has been read, we will open it up for public participation.
I think we need a second.
I second.
Okay. Seconded by Councilor Page, and now we will open it up to comment by public participation. If you're interested in participating, you may raise your hand in the Zoom function. I see we do have one interested. Scott, could you please unmute Miss Lyons?
Hi, Rose Lyons, 46 Elton Drive. I'm just testing to see if everything's up and running properly. I have no problem with you waiving the rules. I just in the past have asked, and I'm going to ask again, when the rules are waived, could you possibly just state the reason why it can't go to the next meeting? You know, maybe it has to be back to the court or whatever has to be done, but it's kind of nice to know why you're waiving the rules. Thank you.
Thank you, Rose. Any other questions or comments or public participation? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this? All right, seeing none.
Sorry, Mayor, would you like me just to comment on the public comment that was just made?
Certainly, yes, please. Thank you.
Kind of to allay some concern. So actually it's exactly what you said. This is a court case that was handled by the town's insurance carrier, Kerma. And there is a court stipulated agreement that we are just now taking action on tonight so that we don't hold anything up in the courts.
Thank you so much for that, Lauren. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Can we please have a roll call vote?
Yes, Councilor Budrejko? Councilor Gonzalez?
Yes.
Councilor Page?
Yes.
Councilor Plord?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Rada?
Yes.
Councilor Tiniakos?
Yes.
Mayor Trister?
Yes. And did we get Gail's vote?
Did she? Was she on?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
And it's a yes.
Thank you, Gail.
Thank you.
Okay, 7 yes.
All right, motion carries 7 yes, 1 absent, 1 recusal. Motion carries. Oh, Councilor Mankey?
I just want to make sure my recusal is noted.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, so that is taken care of. Motion carries and we can move along. Next on our agenda is written and oral communications from the town manager and other town agencies. Any updates for us, Jamie?
Yes, I have some personnel updates for the council and the public this evening. As the council learned earlier, we have a new person in human services. The youth worker, candidate Brett Mannion has accepted the position. Brett has a wealth of experience and knowledge in the realm of social work and youth, and he is also born and raised in Newington. So we welcome him aboard. He will be starting in mid-February. In terms of open positions, the chief selection process has resumed and will resume this week. And we are in the process of interviews for the eligibility program coordinator at the Senior and Disabled Center, as well as the administrative secretary 3 position at the police department. And that is a union position, the administrative secretary position. We just started and posted a promotional process for one sergeant and one detective vacancy at the police department. And that is all done via contract. And the process there is candidates would come to the town manager's office to indicate that they are interested in being in the process, and then there's a written exam followed by an oral exam and other evaluations. So we're currently going in the period where the applicants would come to the town manager's office to indicate their interest, and then there's a study period, and then that process will begin in late March. Other vacant positions are the same, unfortunately, as the ones that I talked to you about at the last meeting. We have an opening for the assistant building official, the assistant town engineer. Both are very busy, much needed positions. Equipment operator 1 in highway. And there is, of course, the ongoing effort to fill the vacancies for sworn officers at the police department. So keep you posted on all of those. I just want to again, it's appropriate due to the weather we're receiving as we speak. I just want to again recognize the town parks department and the highway department for all their continued efforts in keeping the roads and sidewalks and parking lots safe in the town. They're certainly being tested this week. It's going to get a little warmer at the end of the week, so maybe we'll get a reprieve. And I just want to thank Scott Hoagland for taking this, for taking care of this evening, for not only switching us over to remote and making sure that all the work got out along with the town manager staff, but also for whatever just happened with our network, getting us back up and running. So thank you, Scott. And thank you all. Any questions?
I don't have any questions. Anybody have any questions or concerns for Jamie? No. Well, I'll echo. Thank you very much, Scott, for being there tonight, and thank you for helping us and being quick on with that. We really appreciate that. Moving on then to council liaison and committee reports. Any updates? Councilor Bedrejko.
Yes, Councilor Plord and I had some interesting TPZ meeting recently, and the drive-through restaurant for Dunkin' Donuts at the corner of Constance Lee and Cedar was approved. I'm not quite sure when it's going to be ready to open for business, but all the modifications were made, and they made some adjustments to regarding pedestrian safety. Also, there's a possibility or a proposal for the Doro Group to use the former Bertucci site for a restaurant. And nothing's formal has come through yet in terms of a formal application, but they did a site plan. They wanted approval for a site plan modification for the number of parking spaces. And there's going to be like a freestanding terrace patio. So it's not going to be like the Doro that's, in Elmwood. It's going to be one of their more higher end restaurants. And they will also be replacing some of the strategically replacing some of the trees that were removed, because they did some clear cutting on that lot. Tomorrow's meeting should be very interesting for TPZ. For those of you who are interested in development in the downtown, in Newington Center, a pre-application. What a pre-application is, it's not a formal application with building plans and, coming for approval, but it's when a developer comes before the commission and kind of tests the water to see if we bring this forward, what objections would there be? What modifications should we make before we bring forward the formal application for development? So there's going to be a pre-application discussion for Lowry Place, which is the old Best Market, that entire plaza. And what they are looking for is it would require some adjustments or some zoning change regulations. They're proposing the current requirement is 3 stories. They're proposing 4 stories. They want some zoning modifications in terms of density and in terms of parking. So again, this is not a done deal formal application coming forward, although they are talking about 273 apartments, primarily market rate, some elderly housing and some affordable housing, but it's a pre-application. They're gonna, make just to kind of test the water, see what would need to be done to bring a more polished, finished, formal application forward. So those of you who are interested, it's tomorrow, the TPZ at 7 o'clock.
Thank you, Councilor Bedrejko. Councilor Plord?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, Councilor Bedrejko covered most of what I was going to say on the last TPZ meeting. Just also want to mention, excuse me, the restaurant at at the former Bertucci's, and that site plan modification that they were seeking for that patio. They did stress to include in their request a clarification that that patio wouldn't have a DJ, wouldn't have very loud amplified sound. That was a concern some residents had expressed, especially given its proximity to our friends at Middlewoods and the senior long-term care housing there. So just wanted to be clear about that in case folks are concerned about that. And again, yes, as Councilor Bedrejko said, that pre-application for tomorrow, definitely encourage folks to attend that meeting if you are interested, and speak up about how you feel about that pre-application and that plaza in general, because at the very least, the pre-application itself aside, I think it's very exciting to see an appetite to do something in that plaza, given how often we hear from residents and we all feel that its current state, at least the grocery store, I should say, is somewhat untenable. So please attend that meeting and speak, and we'll look forward to seeing you there.
Thank you, Councilor Plord. I'm excited about having a patio there. That's great. That's really cool. Nice. Any other reports from councilors on committees? All right. Seeing none, and we will keep it moving. And we're back to public participation in general via the Zoom application. If you'd like to speak, please feel free to raise your hand through the Zoom application. Hello. Here we go. All right, Miss Lyons, go right ahead.
Hi, Rose Lyons, 46 Elton Drive. I was glad to hear both Councilor Plord and Councilor Bedrejko mention the meeting tomorrow night. However, I'm not sure what they're going to do. Normally, at a pre-application, you're not allowed to speak because it's on the agenda. It's not until it's a public hearing. However, the chairman may waive the rules at this time or on this particular one because of the chatter going on around it. But just be aware that it's not a given that you're going to be able to speak. I was glad to hear the discussion on the proposed ARPA funds. I was taken aback last year when the budget was being presented and monies were taken out of CIP projects with the promise that they would be paid for out of ARPA funds. You can't use ARPA funds, as far as I know, as a line item to pay for budget items, but it was very crafty the way they took it out to lower the budget and therefore, in my opinion, lowered the mill rate. But I'm looking forward to see how you're going to fix what was done last year with this year's budget. You've got a big task in front of you, and I will be watching, and hopefully you can come up with something. I want to thank Jamie and Janet for providing me last minute for a list of the previous funds that have been expended, and as well as the grant recipients of close to $500,000. It's something that you as new counselors may want to look at as well. It was interesting to hear the CROG presentation, and I find it interesting that we, not that long ago, put in for a connectivity grant between the transfer station and the Berlin Turnpike, and I don't think that ever was granted. There's many sidewalks right here in town, let alone leading to the Berlin Turnpike, that need to be looked at, in my opinion. I'm sure that there's other people, too, that would like to see sidewalks within the town, not just up to the Berlin Turnpike. again, the Open Space Committee coming forward and being proactive. I'm very, very pleased to hear that. And Councilor Page, Walkable Newington. Remember that subcommittee off the Joint Committee of Community Safety? How long ago was that? And we're still talking about it. Time to start doing something about it, I think. And last but not least, I want to tell all of you, all of those that got kicked off of the meeting, I was here and I was listening, and they were plotting to go to TJ's without you. So next time, stay on. Don't get lost out there in cyberspace. You might miss out on some fun. Good night. Take care.
Rose. Anybody else on Zoom that would like to participate in public participation? I guess everyone's on Zoom. Nobody's in the room. All right, seeing none, we will move on then to remarks by counselors. Any counselors have any remarks? Counselor Page.
Yeah, thank you, Rose, for your comments about the walkable Newington. Let's see what we can get done in the next year or two. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Counselor Page. Any other counselors have comment? Oh, Counselor Floyd, there you are.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, thank you, Rose, for that clarification. I have to admit, I'm a little ill this evening, so my brain is functioning as well as it can. So I appreciate the clarification for the public. Yes, with regards to tomorrow's meeting, perhaps the chairman will waive the rules, but in any case, there will be undoubtedly a really useful presentation. I hope folks will attend to see that. Just a couple things. I wanted to mention that CCSU has Councilor Page, Mayor Trister, our state stakeholders and others have been working with CCSU really closely, and that there is going to be a Celebrate Newington Day at CCSU on February 29th at 7 p.m. For a game, CCSU versus LIU, I believe, at their campus. That will be free admission for Newington residents. So I hope folks will come out and support the community there. That is our community, though it's in New Britain. You know, so many of our friends and family go to CCSU or teach there and so on. So please go out and support that. And also just wanted to mention as well, this a little further out, but just for folks that may be interested, this may be a good format to let folks know, but the Secretary of State released the early voting days for this year's April primary. So just want to let folks know those days and keep them in mind. Early voting is going to be new this year in the state of Connecticut, and will be a really, really great opportunity to increase accessibility for the polls for those who can't make it on election day. Those dates are March 26th, March 27th, March 28th, and March 30th. So that's the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and the Saturday at the end of March. So just be cognizant of those dates as well and get out to the polls. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Mankey.
I think we missed it. We didn't mention that we just had the Friends of Lucy Robbins Wells Winterfest just last Friday. I saw most of you there. It was a good time had by all, I think. Another successful event they put on in support of our library. And I just compliment them on their organizations and their organization and providing a good time, a good night out for everybody. Excuse me, even though it was a little chillier than we would like, but I think everybody had a good time and it was really a well-attended event.
Thank you, Counselor Mankey. I agree. I thought Mr. Lambert was great on the guitar. The band was fantastic. It was such a great event. I loved it. Any other counselor comments? Seeing none, we will move on to executive session, and I'm going to ask Counselor Gonzalez, would you please read the resolution?
Before she reads, I'm sorry,
Sure.
DJ Zordan, our emergency management director and fire marshal, was able to jump on the meeting tonight. So if we could include him in the resolution also.
I think he's listed on there. Oh, no, he's not. Okay, yeah. So Kathy, can you include DJ Zordan when you read the resolution?
Yes, was there somebody else as well?
Joe Salomon's mentioned. Is he here?
Yeah, everyone else is here.
Okay.
And they're on the resolution. Yep.
So just add DJ at the end.
Got it.
Thanks. Awesome. Go
Ready?
right ahead. Yes, yes.
Resolved that the Newington Town Council, in accordance with CGS Section 1-2006C, hereby moves to go into executive session and invites the town council members, the mayor, Anthony David Griffin, Jamie Trevathan, acting town manager, Lauren Rhymes, director of administrative service, Joe Salamone, facilities director, DJ Zordan, to discuss a public safety matter, emergency operations.
Motion, is there a second?
Second, but just a correction, it's Attorney David Griffith, just for detail.
Oh, yes,
just
yeah,
for-
it's Attorney David Griffith, yes. Not Anthony David Griffith. Very good.
Sorry.
So seconded by Mitch. Any discussion? All right, seeing none. Can we have a roll call vote for this?
Yes, Counselor Budrejko,
Yes.
Counselor Gonzalez,
Yes.
Counselor Mankey,
Yes.
Counselor Page,
Yes.
Counselor Plord,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Rada,
Yes.
Counselor Tiniakos,
Yes.
Mayor Trister.
Yes.
8-0.
Excellent. Motion carries 8-0 with Counselor Nagel absent. We are now in executive session.
Separate link for this, right?
Yeah, there's a separate link. We can jump onto that.
So we should
Should
leave.
be in your email right now. And then
Yes.
well, I'll give you a link to get back into this after.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you. Everybody here, we good to go?
Yeah, looks like.
I will unmute you guys and take away the executive session screen. Okay.
Great. Thank you, Scott. All right, we are back from executive session. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion by Counselor Plord, second by Counselor Menke. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, we
Aye.
are adjourned. 10:29 p.m. on January 23rd. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
All right,
Thank you.
everyone.